Hello and welcome back. My name is Ellen Kramer. I got below a 1500 on the SAT. I wasn't valedictorian or salutatorian. I got a 4 on my AP art portfolio, and yet I got into 5 Ivies: Cornell, Dartmouth, Columbia, Princeton, and Harvard. And I'm here to advise you in your college application process. Today's topic will be Columbia University supplements. Before I begin though, little disclaimer, please don't steal my work and pass it off as your own. They will figure that out. Don't run it through like AI and make your version of my essay. My essays did work, but you should not follow my essays to the letter. Instead, it's about the energy and the creativity and discipline or the academic motivation behind the essays, where you show what you're passionate about. You show that you love learning. You show that you intersect music and neuroscience, interdisciplinary connections. So let's get started. First, we have the infamous 100-word list. You're supposed to write 100 words worth of media that has greatly influenced you during your life. The following is mine. There's cohesiveness, and yet there's also breadth. It has books on philosophy, art, science, there's museums, there's even trivia, such as like the Quiz Bowl website, which was definitely influential. In this response, the underlying thread is interdisciplinary curiosity. These texts don't seem at first glance related, and yet they are. There's also some texts within here that are actually a part of the Columbia core curriculum. Columbia prides itself on its core curriculum. If you write your supplements and don't mention the core curriculum, no good. You need to mention the core curriculum and how it will have an impact on you, and also how it will inspire your curiosity. Why Columbia? The core curriculum is essential to writing that response. For my list, I had read The Bouquet, Prometheus Bound. I think Dubliners might be on there. Lysistrata was also on the core curriculum. I did not read these senior year intending to show off to Columbia. I read these like in 10th and 11th grade, and they just happened to be a part of the core curriculum, so I figured why not show them that I'm already interested, even slightly, in what they plan to interest me in even more. The core curriculum ties the student body together because everyone has read certain books by the end of their freshman, sophomore, junior years. Like, oh, you read that? Oh my gosh, did you get Professor blah, blah, blah? So when you're writing your responses, consider this environment that you would be a part of. You'd be a part of the Columbia core curriculum crew. In your application, you're sort of forming this network of relationships. For me, it was I would read something, then I would paint it. So in my list of selections of text, of course I'm going to mention something that I painted. Okay, moving on. Okie doke. The next question is the perspective/viewpoint question. As this one is sort of a longer essay response and it's not just a list of texts, I'm going to actually read it to you. I grew up hunting frogs and snakes in the sewers of West Point with kids whose parents were also in the Army. We kept terrariums and created the Tunnel of Terror, a path between brambles we dare each other to venture through. The cookie-cutter houses were imagined away, backyards became jungles, drainage ditches became dangerous swamps. Exploration cultivated a part of me which knows no bounds. I submit short stories to the New Yorker because a submission email is an open door. I believe in the realness of what communities can do, and though it may be unrealistic, it is a standard and attitude which can push us to the sublime. At Columbia, I wish to create a community based on the passion for learning and creating, and dedicated to maintaining the full spirit of imagination, because more is possible when a group believes in its own power. Columbia literally says, a hallmark of the Columbia experience is being able to learn and thrive in an equitable and inclusive community with a wide range of perspectives. I end my essay talking about how at Columbia I wish to create and cultivate a community just like that. It also starts in on a very cinematic image, such as hunting animals from sewers. That's like the epitome of what children do when there's no parental supervision and there's sewers. It also mentions that I grew up at West Point, which is a niche experience. If you have a niche experience like that, like say you spent until you were 8 in a foreign country, or you moved to Alaska or something, These are more niche experiences. Not that many people have them. Mention that in your perspective essay. There's also immediately a tone of like curiosity and daring and venturing into the wilderness. When you're writing a supplement, you're basically showing them that you can express yourself through writing. The first half is all about West Point and cultivating curiosity and imagination. And then I also talk about how that applies to what I do today, which would be submitting short stories, just trying to put myself out there. And I think that's very important. It shows development. It also shows how certain childhood values, such as curiosity, carry through in my life still today. It also expands my philosophy into a more communal philosophy, that what I believe and what is a good value will be disseminated and diffused into the community around me at Columbia. And this makes me a valuable choice to the admissions officers. Fuse your philosophy and what your viewpoint and perspective was with how it will impact Columbia's community in a positive way. Okay, the next one is the adversity question. Please describe a barrier or obstacle you have faced and discuss the personal qualities, skills, or insights you have developed as a result. This took me a while to come up with, and yet it also didn't. I felt this one in the back of my mind, and then one day I just sat down to write it, and boom. I also ended up using this one in my application to Cornell for fashion design, because as you'll see, it ties into fashion. Femininity is a weird thing. I used to believe the lie that femininity is polar, that I could choose only between tomboy or girly girl. In 6th grade, I wanted to change my clothing style, but I didn't because I was afraid that changing was weak. In high school, the shift came incrementally. Now, my wardrobe is entirely items from Goodwill and clothes I've made. Femininity has become a certain type of freedom. I can dye a dress a dark mulberry hue to express confidence and power, or craft an angular denim top to show durability and strength. I wear shoes with heels because there is a confidence that comes from taking risks, and an unbridled optimism in the freedom to change whenever desired. I take this open-mindedness and confidence into everything I do, allowing me to empathize with and aid those who hesitate to change and grow. Personally, this is my favorite essay. I love doing this one. I like writing about how I'm going to upcycle this article of clothing and what the shape of it means. So this one's fun to me. It can be more about internal adversity, something that prevented you from fully feeling like yourself for a long time. And for me, that was femininity and clothing, and also just style. Like I said, I felt suddenly changing my style would be a sign of weakness. And as the essay goes on, it becomes clear that now it's a type of power, that changeability, that complete chameleon morphic situation that you find yourself in when you just love so many different styles of clothing and fashion. That's power, that's freedom. In general, I think you can kind of see why this is a good essay. You lock in on your writing. If you're in 9th and 10th grade, lock in. Because between 9th and 11th grade, that's when all the improvement happened in my writing. That's where I developed. And if you aren't reading books, you need to read books. The reading is the only way you get better at writing, so do it, please. Also, last night, I was reading I Used to Be Charming and other essays. I opened to a random page, and it was On Not Being a Tomboy was the title of the essay. She started that. I had not read this before last night. She started that essay by saying she used to hate the idea that femininity had two sides, tomboy or girly girl. It also goes to show that this experience is a relatable one. As long as you write it in a way that it causes the reader to feel what you're feeling, you're good. Why are you interested in attending Columbia University? We encourage you to consider the aspects that you find unique and compelling about Columbia. Okay, so this one is kind of a lot like the next one, which is what attracts you to your preferred areas of study at Columbia College. I would approach them as if you have to make them entirely different. You cannot be repetitive with these two. There can be some ties between them. Like, for instance, 2 questions for me. The tie between them was critical theory, intellectual discovery / curiosity. You have to include core curriculum because it's so important. So I said, it took me almost 18 years to learn how much I love art, entrepreneurship, and community, but 3 minutes to find the Columbia Art Market Society on Columbia's website. That's actually true. I found that thing really fast. I cannot wait to join a community of artists and entrepreneurs eager to carve a place in today's world of design and business. I want to thoroughly explore art and design and simultaneously learn about literature and critical theory. I spend hours at the coffee shop researching Derrida, Hegel, and Foucault, creating cartoons and diagrams to explain their theories, and discussing concepts with my best friend. So of course, the Columbia Center for Contemporary Critical Thought caught my eye. I know that the Columbia core curriculum comes first, and I'm excited about it. Literature humanities in particular, because of its extensive and slightly intimidating reading list, some names of which I find happily familiar. So, first paragraph is about art and entrepreneurship. And they'll see in my ECs that there's entrepreneurship, there's art, there's putting my art into the real world, sharing it with people, teaching people, etc. Sharing what I love with the world. Big thing. Include that in your application somehow. Next paragraph is about critical theory. 11th grade exploded critical theory for me. It was a big part of what I painted those years, so of course I'm going to include it here. And in each paragraph, I tie it to some experience very specific to Columbia, such as a club that I could join, an organization I could be a part of. And then, of course, I talk about the core curriculum. And I kind of point out that I already have read some of the books. If they didn't see my 100-word thing, if they skimmed over that, then they'll say, oh, she read the bouquet, oh my gosh. What attracts you to your preferred area of study at Columbia College? I try to start in each of these with some kind of hook, right? I grew up hunting frogs and snakes in the sewers. That's a hook. Femininity is a weird thing. That's a hook. It took me 18 years to learn how much I love art, entrepreneurship, and community, but only 3 minutes to discover the art market on Columbia's website. That's a hook too. There's different levels of entertainingness for hooks, but you need a hook for each of these. You need to start into the story. You can't just say, I really would like to go to Columbia because that is not commanding writing. That's not assertive writing. You're not taking control of the application in that way. You're just restating their question. Don't do that. I start this last essay. When I visited my brother at college, we speed walked through the winter air to a campus theater showing the film Amarcord, which led me to research 1930s fascist Italian culture and analyze its nostalgic distortion. I want this to be my college experience, an extremely rigorous academic environment, seemingly overwhelming yet conquerable amounts of work, and experiences such as Amarcord that will trigger new and unlikely curiosities. Columbia's intense yet liberating curriculum, and especially its creative writing program, can provide this for me. I want to walk to the Avery Architectural and Fine Arts Library, about to spend hours deciphering Hegel's The Phenomenology of Spirit, after getting coffee with a friend at the Hungarian pastry shop. I see myself producing something I cannot even imagine now in my senior design capstone project, visiting the green market with friends on the weekends and making full use of Columbia's campus and resources. There's a reason why in most signs for Columbia, they say Columbia College in the city of New York. Talk a little about how you will make use of Columbia's unique location as an Ivy League school. What other Ivy League is in New York City? None. It alternates between I will dive into my studies type scenarios and leisurely, more community building scenarios such as going to coffee with friends. But it also immediately shows that I can tell a quick anecdote and use it commandingly, because I spend the first half inch writing about an experience I had at my brother's college. We just spontaneously went and saw a movie that was free on campus about 1930s fascist Italy, and how that sparked my curiosity. That's what they want to see. And then I say, I want this to be my experience. Rigor, academic intensity, and experiences such as Amarcord. Curiosity sparklers. Curiosity sparks of curiosity. Show them that you have a passion for curiosity. Not only do you have a passion for art or literature or science or politics, you have a passion for becoming curious. You have a passion for finding new things to love. That's another big point. Show them that you, as a student, as a person, as an individual, find things that you love. You get very good at these things. You master them. You begin to serve in the community of these things. And then you share these things and what you've learned with others, with anyone who wants a part of what you found that you love. You give it to others. So, those are my Columbia supplements. Please comment what school you want to see next. Email me and I will get back to you about college applications and essays. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. Our goal is 300 subscribers. And also follow me on Instagram at Ellen. It's just ELLENNNNNNNNNN, like 20 N's. And definitely subscribe to my mailing list, where I actually send you monthly packages of handmade art and poetry and anything else I create at Princeton. And also that comes from my mind, just something I create just for fun. And a personalized letter. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful week. I will see you during the next video.